Married at First Sight Australia, Episode 24. So in this episode, we start with the couples spending their last morning at the retreat. 3 couples I want to touch on. First of all, Booker and Brett. They woke up in the same room, in the same bed, and they were intimate last night. Yep, that's what we got from this. I'm still a little sceptical whether this will last. I really am. Because Booker, I'm not too sure she's ever going to forget the betrayal from Brett. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Moving on to Alana and Jason. These two, as we know, rekindled. With this relationship here, there's not enough depth in it as far as I'm concerned, so I can't see it working. I don't care how much they rekindle, I can't see it working. Moving on. Lastly, we have Beck and Jake. Jake, you are flogging a dead horse. She's not into you. She does not want you. Don't fall for her fakeness. Please don't do it. This girl is wasting your time. Did you see the dribble that came out of her mouth this morning when Jake was asking he needs more from her? He needs to know whether she's into him because she doesn't show that she wants him. Did you see the excuses that she came out with? That all I've ever done is show you affection. You're too damn lie. Stop it. Stop the lying. And put the poor guy out of his misery. Moving on. When leaving the retreat, we found out that Bryce and Melissa rode back separately to everybody else. Yes, they had their own private hire. Yes, royalty had their own private hire. They didn't want to associate with the others. Oh dear. Oh, I can't. Anyway, on to the dinner party. The first couple to arrive at the cocktail party were Georgia and Liam. These two, they look good together. They don't seem to struggle. They're always bright and chirpy. They both know how to have a laugh and to have fun. Yeah. And that's all I've got to say about them, really. Yeah. Who was next? It was Belinda and Patrick. Belinda and Patrick, I like these two. But Belinda, come on. The styling. There's a time and a place to wear that. Cocktail party, no, darling. Please don't do it. She does need some help with her styling, but I really do like her. Next we had Alana and Jason. Yep, Alana and Jason. These two seem to be getting on, but like I say, I can't see it working. Moving on. Next we had Beck and Jake. These two looked very awkward when they walked in. They weren't holding hands. Yeah. I'm telling you now. Jake, you are flogging a dead horse. Leave that one alone. Next we had Kerry and Johnny. These two I really do like. They have had no problems whatsoever from the start of the experiment. And whatever problems they did have, they resolved very quickly. Yeah, these two are a great couple. I can definitely see them lasting outside of this experiment. No word of a lie. Yeah. Moving on. We then had Booker and Brett. These two seemed happy. I don't think they were holding hands though when they walked in. Yeah, I can't recall that. But they came across happier than last week. I still have my doubts about these two. I really do. Booker is not going to let anything go. And that's a shame. That really is a shame. because I feel these two would have been good together, but I can't see it working. Just the way she thinks. And the thing is, she's a psychology major, which gets me. That gets me most of all. You're a psychology major. You're so intense in the way you think, but you're not biased either. You're not able to see both sides of the argument, which defeats the word psychology, does it not? Oh, I don't get it. But anyway, whilst everybody was waiting on the last couple of the evening, Bryce and Melissa to make their grand entrance, as per usual, we saw everybody talking about Bryce and Melissa. So nothing new there. I'm not going to go into any detail about this, because it's the same old, same old. Eventually, Bryce and Melissa did turn up. And we all saw the awkwardness. Yeah, the air was very different when they walked in. Everybody was tense. Everybody felt awkward. Everybody was whispering in corners. I've just had enough. So fast forward to the dinner party. As it happens every week, everything starts on a good note. Everybody's cheering, raising their glasses, and then getting on with their dinner. The odd chit chat here and there. But it always stems back to Bryce and Melissa. So we saw a conversation happening with Bryce, Melissa, Georgia and Johnny talking at one end of the table about the retreat, how they got on at the retreat, what did they get out of it, why Melissa didn't come to the girls' night, why Bryce didn't come to the boys' night. Yeah, it all stemmed around that. But we did hear Johnny say that all of this could have been settled at the boys' night and maybe at the girls' night, with all this tension hanging in the air. Yeah. And then Georgia turned around and said something like, she said to Bryce, do you not feel responsible for what's happened? And he turned around and said, yeah, I did play a part in it. It was inappropriate what happened. That was just me being a smart ass. That's what he said. That's virtually what he said. And with him saying that, Patrick spoke up. He turned around and said, have you apologised to Beck yet? Now the whole table has turned around, wanted to know the answer to that question. Here we go again. Bryce's answer was he hasn't had the chance to speak to her. But then Patrick turned around and said, but mate, you had a chance at the cocktail party. Why didn't you go up to her then? And then Bryce turned around and said, she didn't come up to me when I walked in, nor did you. That's what he said. But in that situation, as far as I'm concerned, you're the one that caused the trouble. You're the one that's supposed to approach her, not her approaching you. That's where you went wrong already. Continuing on, Patrick turned around and said, I can't shake someone's hand that behaves in that way. Can't do it, mate. Plus at the same time, during the whole retreat, you've argued with everybody. I just have no respect for you. That's really what he was saying. The more Patrick was talking, the more agitated Bryce was getting. He started accusing Patrick of being aggressive. Patrick wasn't aggressive. He was just talking. We know what aggressive looks like. Bryce, you're the culprit for that. You, of all people, definitely know what aggressive looks like. Patrick was being very placid in the way he was talking to you. You just didn't want to hear what he had to say. Now, what you were doing is what you call passive aggressive. As Patrick pointed out to Bryce, he turned around and said, you've been aggressive every single week. And Bryce's reply to that was, no, I haven't. Is this guy for real? Is this guy for real? He's in denial. He definitely is in denial. Eventually, we did see Bryce apologise to Beck. Yep, we saw an apology. I'm not too sure whether it was heartfelt though. Yeah, not sure on that one. But he apologised anyway. One or two people on the table acknowledged his apology. Then someone asked Beck, do you accept his apology? She turned around and said, absolutely not. Yep, that's what she said. Absolutely not. And then it became back and forth with him and her. Yeah, she was saying about his behaviour. Do you think that's acceptable in the outside world for a man to behave that way? And yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And before you knew it, Bryce got off his seat and walked out. Yes, Bryce got off his seat and walked out, leaving his dutiful wife sitting there looking blank, not sure what to do with herself. Where do we go from here? How do I deal with these people? Yeah, that's where we were. When speaking to the camera, you could see Bryce has had enough. He had just had enough. He went charging out of the room, charging down the hallway, wanting the mic people to take the mic off him. I'm done. That's virtually what he was saying. Yeah, I've had enough. And that's what you saw. Coming back to Melissa now, she was still sitting there having to deal with the group. So she had her little speech ready. And she always seems to get their attention when she speaks, funny enough. She does. No one speaks over her. Everybody lets her talk. She started by saying that nobody understands their relationship. What you see here is not what I see when it's just me and him. When he does things like this, he does regret it afterwards. And we have heated discussions back home about it. Why would you do this? Why did you do that? And as he says, it's very spur of the moment. He doesn't think before he speaks. That's virtually what she said. She continued to talk about what they talk about behind closed doors, about moving, what's going to happen after the experiment, about wanting children, all the things that you would expect from a relationship. And then at the same time, he's having to deal with you guys just constantly going at him. That's how she said it. And her being his wife, she's going to be by his side, be supportive. That's her role. That's how she sees it. She also says he can be argumentative, as you see at the dinner parties and the commitment ceremony. She knows how Bryce appears. But as she says, people have played their part in it as well. But at the same time, she's not saying that he's not responsible for a lot of it. She gets it. But that's the dinner party and the commitment ceremony. The rest of the time, as far as she's concerned, he's just being Bryce. He's not that aggressive person. So as she says, you see one side of him, I see another. After saying this, you saw Brett speak up. He turned around and said, Melissa, Bryce is lucky to have you. You're such a beautiful person, and the way you're stuck by him is admirable. Yeah, those were his words. Just after that, you saw Georgia and Liam speaking to the camera. Georgia was saying, Melissa is so loyal. Yeah, loyal. And then we had Liam saying, she's like a prison wife. He could murder somebody and she'll still be right there with him. That's my man. That's my husband. She's that person. Yeah, I have to agree with him. I definitely have to agree with him. It was shortly after that we saw Bryce come back into the room. Yes, Bryce came back. Georgia asked him, are you all right? He said, yeah, toilet. Went toilet. Why are you lying? Why are you lying? Oh, my goodness me. And then on top of that, he turned around and said, oh, bad chicken. He blames it on the food. Stop it. Stop it. All you had to say was that you needed some air. That's all you had to say. Anyway, he asked his wife whether she was good. She said she's fine. She spoke up for him amongst these guys. Everybody praised her actually whilst he was there, saying that your wife, yep, she held her own. She really had you. She had your back. That's virtually what they were saying. There was an awkwardness at the table after that for a short while. And then we heard Beck say under a breath, he doesn't deserve her. Something like that. But I'm sure Bryce heard it. And Melissa was saying to him, don't rise to it. Don't rise to it. Here we go again. I can't do this. We then had another awkward, quiet moment before Brett spoke. He turned around and said, I nearly died the other day. Yes, that's what he said. I nearly died the other day. He was trying to break that ice, break the quietness. Everybody started laughing. Yeah, we just needed that lightheartedness. Bring it on. I can't deal with this depth of doom, atmosphere. I can't do it. So you saw Brett talking about his near-death experience, which he nearly did, nearly died. So that went on for a few minutes. And then the focus went on to Alana. You could see her face like she was wanting to say something. She was wanting to say something. She's been quiet all night, which is unusual. That's not normal. So she couldn't help herself but to say something. And the first words that came out of her mouth were, Melissa. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is going to start something. Because when it comes to Melissa and Bryce, it always affects her and Jason's relationship. Here we go again. With her just calling Melissa's name, the room went quiet. Yes, the room went quiet. They are waiting to hear what she was going to say. She turned around and said, there's some things about Bryce that you don't know. He's been very disingenuous. That's really what she was saying. Things that have been said behind your back that don't make him out to be genuine. That's what she was saying. And with her saying that, Melissa was asking, how so? How so? And at the same time, Jason's sitting next to his wife thinking, what are you doing? You could see him stirring in his seat. He was getting very uncomfortable. It's like, please don't do this, Alana. Not again. Not again. Have we not talked about this? Yeah, he had that look. It seemed to take forever for her to get whatever it was off her chest. She was hesitating. She don't want to say, she said, I don't really want to say. Then why even open your mouth? Why even open your mouth? And as Bryce says, well, you've opened your mouth now. Tell me, what is it? And she's still beating around the bush. She was still beating around the bush. Whatever this is, she says it's been on her mind for a long time. But this is ages ago. I don't really want to say it because your feelings may have changed. Yeah, that's where she was going with it. So we're going back to maybe the beginning of the experiment is what she's talking about here. But we're a long way in. We're nearly to the end now. Why are you bringing this up now? Why didn't you mention it at the beginning? Oh, I don't get people that do that type of move. If you had concerns, why didn't you bring it up back then? Oh, this makes no damn sense. Anyway, fast forward. She eventually opened her mouth and said what she needed to say. What she said was, there was rumours about Bryce saying that he'll be single by the end of this. And then on top of that, she said he'll be single by New Year. What does that mean? What does that mean? The whole table's like looking shocked to think, what? Is that what he said? Bryce turned around and said, you're saying that I said that? You're saying that I said that? When did I say this? When did I say this? Yep. Back and forth they were with this. He then turned around and said, I didn't say this. His wife is sitting next to him saying, I know. Yeah. That's where we were with these two. She believes everything he says. Anyway, carrying on. Bryce then turns around and says, who told you this? Who told you this? Alana was very much, I don't really want to say. That's what she said. She doesn't really want to say. I think I already know where this is going. I think we all know where this is going. Mr. Man sitting next to her husband, Mr. Jason, is getting very uncomfortable now. Very uncomfortable now. Alana then turns around to Melissa and says, do you believe me? Melissa turns around and says, no, I don't believe you. But then Alana turns around and says to her, but if I can prove it. But if I can prove it. Woof, where are we going with this? Again, we were going back and forth for a little while here. Bryce and Melissa were asking her, who said it? She kept saying, I don't really want to say. Yeah, you know what? I've got no time for the back and forth. Eventually, she turned around and said, Jason said it. Yes! Jason said it. Again! We're back here again! She threw him under the bus. Again. Oh, God. The poor guy just didn't know where to put his face. He didn't know what to do with himself. Absolutely embarrassed. Straight after she threw him under the bus, it was Melissa that turned around and said, Jason? As in she was waiting for a reply from Jason for him to defend himself. This guy was licking his lips, dry-mouthed, looking very flustered. Yeah, absolutely embarrassed he was. And because Jason was taking forever to speak, Alana jumped in by saying, well, it happened a few weeks ago when you went to the bathroom. Bryce and Jason were saying, let's catch up on New Year's because I'll be single by then. That was a comment that was thrown around. That's the comment she's mentioning. Melissa's sitting there thinking, do I believe this? Do I not? How do I take this? What do I do? Do I believe my husband? Or do I believe Alana? Yeah. That's where she was. Her head was in a spin. And Jason was very much like, oh God, Alana. As in to say, why? Not again. What are you doing? Yeah, he had that look. And then when Jason was talking to the camera, he turned around and said, I have never been so betrayed by someone in my life. And she is supposed to be my wife. Something along those lines, he said. Yeah, I've never been so betrayed. Humiliated, embarrassed. The whole 9 yards. And then, coming back to the table, when we saw more of the conversation, Melissa again wanted to hear from Jason. But his words were, I'm not getting involved, I'm not getting involved. The usual. He is not getting involved. A man of few words, as I've said before. On the back end of that, Alana turned around and said, I'm sure his feelings for you are genuine now, but back then, I'm talking about back then. But then why bring it up? Why even bring it up? Oh dear. Melissa at that point turned around and said, we're just going to leave it here. Me and Bryce will talk about this in private. Can we now talk about something else? That's what she said. It was at this point, Jason jumped up out of his seat and stormed out of the room. Yep. He was too embarrassed. Humiliated. The whole 9 yards. Yeah. This is the third time, or the second time, he said in 3 days, my wife has betrayed me. That's what he said. In the meantime, you had Alana in tears, Beck by her side saying, I'm very proud of you. You said what you had to say. You said your truth. And that's virtually what she said. She was giving her the big up. Yeah, well done. Oh dear, this is going to backfire. Eventually, when Jason came back into the room, he sat opposite his wife. Didn't say anything. She eventually opened her mouth to say she's sorry. I betrayed your trust. But then she had Beck in her ear saying, but she did the right thing. She did the right thing. Yeah. Jason really didn't want to hear it. He really didn't want to hear it. He then got up off his seat, went to another part of the table, sat there with a napkin over his face, thinking, get me the hell out of here. That's where his head was. Get me the hell out of here. The night ended by him saying, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Congrats, Alana. You did well. Yep. That's what he said. You did well. And on that note, this is where I'm going to leave it. If you like what you heard, please like, comment and subscribe. Till next time.